Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Katrina92 from the Relationship Advice subreddit and says, rekindle relationship with my husband after neighbor's husband admitted being the catfish. Hello everyone, my husband 35 male and I 30 female, married for 8 years, have been separated for the last 14 months, and I need help and advice on how to rekindle our relationship. We're currently not on speaking terms, and all our arrangements go through our lawyers, but I will have an opportunity over Christmas to clear the air and set things straight, as he will be flying in from Sydney to spend time with the kids. So, what happened? I received a Facebook message in September last year that my husband was talking and exchanging naked photos with other women on Tinder. We spoke on the phone for a bit, and the only proof she had was a screenshot of their conversations and his profile. Long story short, I downloaded Tinder and found his profile, with his location less than 1 kilometer away. I was convinced that he was cheating, and we had a terrible fallout that evening, which led to my family coming over to calm the situation. But instead, it escalated when my brother punched and grabbed hold of my husband. The neighbors called the police and my husband was asked to pack a few things and stay elsewhere for a while. We separated shortly after, and he has since moved to Sydney to be closer to his ailing father, but sees our kids for a weekend twice a month. Fast forward to the beginning of November this year. My neighbor rocked up at my doorstep to tell me that our husband was catfishing women on dating apps using my husband's photos. He downloaded these photos from a MacBook that we lent him during COVID, and some of these photos were of intimate nature, and of me. The police are currently dealing with this. All of this has been relayed to my husband through his lawyer, but his response has been lukewarm, and he has said we could talk about it over Christmas. I'm so scared that we might be too far down the rabbit hole and that he will likely push for a divorce, even though I know that we love each other deeply. But this took a massive toll on our mental health, finances, and well-being of our 3 kids. What is the best way to approach him in December and make amends? First commenter says to OP, oh, and here's another thought. Perhaps reach out to any and all of his old friends. Make sure they all know the truth. Another commenter says, yeah, OP, try to salvage what you can for him. But I think the way things happened would have been very damaging. To be clear, I'm not blaming you for wanting to leave when you had clear proof from your perspective at the time that he had cheated. It's a reasonable reaction, but the way it took place seems so insanely violent and dramatic. You two got screwed over, not just by your neighbor, but also by your brother. Punching someone is never acceptable. It would have been a sucky and inappropriate reaction even if your husband had in fact cheated. Now imagine how your husband must have felt, considering it was entirely unwarranted. Being married is being part of a shared family. The fact that your family got in the middle of it and bodily hurt him would make anyone think twice about getting back in. If you really work hard on mending those bridges, if you ensure everyone takes stock and is accountable for their mistakes, and that includes your brother, then you might rebuild your relationship, but it will most probably take time. Another commenter says, apologize to your husband, but don't expect forgiveness. It's sad your marriage was destroyed by a nefarious individual. There is too much hurt there. Love does not conquer all. Life is not a Hallmark movie. Be cordial to your husband, set the record straight with family and friends, and then leave him alone. Another commenter says, first off, let him see his kids without drama. Don't love bomb him. Don't pester him to sit down and talk. Just keep your space and let him come to you. If he decides he still wants space, then keep your cool and keep your family out of it. Another commenter says, your husband experienced something that you will never understand. A false accusation. An assault from your brother, spousal alienation, no right of recourse against the false accusation, a complete lack of loyalty from his wife, a complete lack of respect from his wife, a loss of the life he had from a false allegation, parental alienation from his children, familial alienation from his in-laws, alienation from friends. The police were called and he had to leave. You separated from him. Your husband has already completed his grieving process. You ask, are you too far down the rabbit hole? Yes. I'm afraid there is no going back for you. You chose not to listen to him when he said it was not him. Another commenter says, I agree. I don't think there's coming back from that. I understand you had reasons to believe he might be cheating, but it seems he had no chance to defend himself, and getting your family involved made everything even worse. He was punched and was told to leave his house by the police. He's been living away from his kids for the past 14 months and has been treated as a villain by friends. You say you love him, but I don't think love could erase everything you two have been through and rebuild trust. Another commenter says love does not accept allegations without certain proof and without defense. Love does not alienate someone from friends, family, and loved ones. Love without action is nothing. She may say the word love, but her actions are worthless. Love without trust, loyalty, and respect is meaningless. Another user says, if OP had posted here when she originally got the message and found his profile, I guarantee everyone would be telling her she was stupid to believe her husband, saying it wasn't him, and that she'd be back in here in 6 months with an STD. It's weird how self-righteous people are now with the benefit of knowledge she didn't have. OP replied saying, thank you. I thought having a therapist present might help, but I have doubts and think it is better not to involve others. The aftermath was devastating for us both, and more so for him when his friends and my family wrote him off. I still love him and never stopped, but I know it will be on his terms if he's willing to give it another chance. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. But OP did come into this 2 months later and said, hello everyone. I've had quite a few people ask for an update on what happened after we discovered that my neighbor was using my ex's photos to catfish other women. Unfortunately, after having sat down and discussed things, it was decided that our marriage was beyond repair and that we should go our separate ways. He is currently in therapy and has requested that we have a clean break with no further contact in the future. I intend to respect his wishes and will continue to communicate through his lawyer on matters that concern our kids. I've since cleared the air with our family and friends and still actively work towards repairing his reputation. I would also like to clarify the assault and why my parents came over in the first place. The night of the argument, I called my mother to ask if I could drop our kids off and if they could spend the evening there. But she was concerned about my emotional state and asked that I stay put and that they would come fetch the kids instead. They arrived and my brother opted to stay outside while my parents came inside to grab the kids in their bags. At this point, my father asked to talk to my ex and calm the situation, and my mum dragged me away to get the kids in their bags ready. My brother was very confused when we came outside and was triggered by my mum saying that my ex might have cheated. My brother reacted the moment my ex walked out and grabbed my arm, in a non-violent way, leading to the punch and a scuffle on the front lawn. He was remorseful and apologized even before we found out my ex was not to blame. It is a series of unfortunate events that has changed many lives and robbed my family of our love and happiness. Now I have to focus on my kids, my depression, and coming to terms with a divorce. I will never forget, but hopefully the pain won't be as intense. And I would just say at the end of this, the comments weren't great to OP afterwards. A lot of them calling her a narcissist, manipulative, by saying she manipulated her family to come round and that's what caused the whole issue, etc. I'll just give you a sample of one that said, you are responsible for all this. Poor guy. Don't act like you're the victim here. Don't say a word to him and watch as he finds a wife more deserving and a family more loving. He deserves that much. And look, as I always say, I never think I'm right or wrong in a situation, just the way I'm particularly feeling about it in that moment. I'm sat behind a microphone, for goodness sake. I think it's just a really sad situation and see them as both victims in this. Like, if OP came in, like that commenter said in the first post, if OP came into this post and said, oh, I have ironclad evidence, a Tinder profile with photos, location stuff, showing that he was nearby and screenshots of conversations, you know, I think most people would believe that, right? And I think the commenter was right to point it out that if she came into the post and the title was, I found my husband's Tinder profile with screenshots, what do I do? You'd have thought the entire sub would have, or the majority of the sub, would be roasting her for even questioning it. But again, I don't blame the ex-husband for stepping away from the situation and not being able to, you know, rekindle after what's happened as well. But in the end, there wasn't much mentioned about him after the initial part, but I really hope that neighbor gets what's coming to him because, you know, because he's destroyed a family. But what is your take on this situation? How do you feel about it? Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think I'm particularly correct. I can only say how I feel in this particular moment. And I think it's just heartbreaking for both of them. But what do you guys make of this one? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Cut Stepfam from the relationship subreddit and says, my dad died recently and I, 24 male, don't want to go to my stepmom's place because I'm still grieving. My parents got a divorce when I was 6 and I haven't seen my mum because she was abusive. My dad remarried when I was 8. My stepmom wasn't abusive, but we never clicked. She tried to be my new mum right off the bat and I found it weird, and she didn't like how I wasn't open to the idea right away. She also had a daughter who's 1 year younger than me. We didn't hit it off either. Don't get me wrong, she's a totally fine person, but as kids, she was the typical brat, so I guess it made it hard for us to really bond as kids, I guess. Once I hit my teens, I had a rough patch of being rebellious and overall not a good person. My dad gave me space like I needed, but my stepmom didn't see it that way, and we fought a lot because of it. My stepsister was alright during teen years. She got to the more quiet and keep to yourself phase, so we didn't really have any conflict. But me and my stepmom didn't hit it off, and once I turned 18, I moved out the first chance I got. I'm now 24, and my dad sadly passed away with cancer a couple of months ago. It's been really hard on me, and I felt very thankful my stepmom came up and pitched in with the funeral expenses, and my stepsister gave a little speech too. Christmas is coming up, and I had plans to let it pass because it reminded me of my dad and I didn't want to go through that. My stepsister texted me saying that she and my stepmom want me to be there. I said I may show up, but I don't know if I want to. I'm still grieving and she still lives in the same house and it's just rough for me because I don't want to remember him so soon like that. We used to have a beer together and watch football, and I haven't done either since he died. I want to be there for my stepsister and stepmom, especially since I'm starting to like them both, and be grateful, but I don't know if I can bring myself to be in that house again yet. So my options are either to suck up my grief and show up, or find another day to meet up with them. What is the best way to go about this? Now, you know me, when we come to grief, I always say, grieve in the way that's best for you, as long as it's safe and healthy, and you grieve in your own way. If you're new to the channel or you don't know this, there's been a lot of deaths in my family in the past few years, and it was a weird experience where I learned a lot about myself at the same time. Probably should have got some therapy, probably still should get some therapy, but I haven't as yet. And as I said, it's very personal and the way things that went down for me, like my dad having mesothelioma, and he went downhill very fast, and in the end it was relief for me when he passed away, and you have feelings about guilt of feeling that relief. You know, for me, I'm glad it just wasn't dragged out any further for him, if you know what I mean. There was a part in this story where OP mentions that he's starting to like them both and be grateful, and I think that was quite nice, and I think there could be something there for them as a little family, although, you know, there was a bit of a past there at the same time. And I think OP's options were both valid, that, you know, he can go if he wants or find another day to meet up with them. But I think at the same time, just be open and honest with stepmom if you feel comfortable doing so, and just saying, you know, I'd really love to spend time with you, and, you know, and it would mean the world in doing so, but you're not sure if you could do it just yet if you don't want to, or just letting them know how it's making you feel at this moment in time. I don't think there's anything wrong with expressing yourself like that. But Rumptum says, what you will discover in adulthood is that there are many things you don't want to do, but absolutely should. Yes, this hurts you, but they're in pain too. Go spend the holidays with your family, with the people your dad shared in his heart. Maybe not next year, but at least for this year. Opie said, I don't know, it's just hard for me. I was thinking about maybe just seeing them the day before Christmas so I don't have to step inside the house, but I don't know if that's me coming off as too needy for them. Rump Trump replies saying, I'll be honest with you. If you literally cannot step in the house, then you need to see a therapist. Yes, it is painful, but dwelling on this will turn into an obsession. Just get it over with. Go in there. This chapter of your life will be over soon, and you'll regret acting like a coward when you aren't the only one who feels pain over this. You can leave whenever you want once you go inside, but dodging this now will create a landslide of future avoidant behaviors. Opie says, I see your point. It's not that I can't step inside the house, but I'm pretty sure I'd just break down and cry. And I don't know, I don't feel comfortable doing that in front of anyone. I do think you're right that me dodging would be bad. 61 Celebration 3 says, I think you'll find that being with other people who are also grieving the most for your dad will be cathartic. It's hard to open up emotionally, but your feelings are totally understandable here, and you should share them. I wouldn't dig up the deep past about your stepsister used to be a brat or your stepmom came on too strong. As an adult, you probably have better perspective and more sympathy for these things anyway. You're all grieving for someone you love. Opie says, of course not. I only brought it up as a potential reason to why maybe I don't want to go. I appreciate them both dearly for the patience they had with me for how bad I was as a teen. They both could have hated and resented me for how I treated my stepmom, but they didn't. I'm trying to get better at not using step too, because they've been in my life since I was 8. We are a family. Anubis says, I think you have the strength to go. I think it's okay to show emotion and grief to them. Worst case, excuse yourself and do deep breathing exercises in the bathroom. You could always make up a plan too, and say you have an obligation to a friend at this time to give yourself a smaller window of being there. Sacred says, this is the time to pull together with those who share your grief, not push them away. Certainly your stepmother and stepsister are also still hurting. They're showing you that you are their family and they want to spend time with you, especially on a holiday, and especially after losing your father. It's okay to cry. I would hazard a guess that you won't be the only one. And another commenter says, I'm sorry for the loss you experienced. Grief is a bitch. It sounds like they need you. One thing I learned in life, running away really doesn't help. Sometimes facing that crappy thing up front and personal helps to deal. So it was about half a month later that Opie came in with their final update and said, okay, so I went to my stepmom's place for Christmas. This was my first time with my stepmom and stepsister without my dad. It was super hard because I sat in the seat he always sat on and I just broke down crying. I'm forever grateful for both my stepsister and stepmom because we all just had a group hug on our couch while I bawled my eyes out. It ended and we didn't open presents but just talked. We had brunch and it went well, though I was holding in tears for the whole thing. This was the first time I could see they actually do care for me and I care for them. They are my family. I didn't stay the night because I definitely couldn't do that, but I left around 11 at night. This was the first time I ever felt like a full family unit, and not the bad kid who fought with my stepmom, and just wasn't the nicest to my stepsister. I thank them so much for not holding a grudge when I went through my teen rebel phase. I hugged them both goodbye and went home. I feel like me giving them a shot and going to my dad's place helped me realize that these are the people who have always been there for me. I mean, they were the ones who didn't give up on me when I was a troubled teen, and I love them both for it. I talk with my stepsister almost daily now, even if it's just a good morning text, and I call my stepmom a bit too now. Thank you for all the comments and making me realize that I should go, and how it would do wonders to make us all closer. It helped. Dreamwalker said to the OP, oh, I remember this post, and I'm glad you went. Another commenter says, we did it, kids. We didn't make it worse. I'm proud of us. Serena says, your update had me crying a bit. I'm so happy that it went well for you. Have a blessed new year. And Gulliver says, what a wise, brave decision that was. I'm so glad you're able to do that. It turned out to be just the right thing for all of you. Life is full of wonder and opportunity. Good for you for seizing it despite your grief. Have a feeling your father would be very proud of you. And here's your monthly reminder that it's okay to have a good cry once in a while. It always hits me at the weirdest moments and it always seems to be around music. I often tell this one, it's like, I mean, it rarely happens because these songs rarely come on the radio, but like if ever like Beautiful South, Little Time or something like that, a couple of songs from the Carpenters ever come on, yeah, it always reminds me of my parents. And not in a bad way, of course, but I just picture the drivers on the opposite side of the road as I'm driving along and me just there. Ah. But hey, I'm so glad it worked out for Opie in this situation and that they was able to reconnect as a family like that as well. I do really wish them the best for the future, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story is from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. No update as yet from NameNo5495 and says, am I the arsehole for refusing to take my shoes off in my friend's house, causing his wife to cancel the D&D session for everyone? Just in case, D&D is Dungeons and Dragons. I, 38 male, was invited to a D&D session with 4 other people at my friend Alex's 34 male house. When I got there, his wife answered the door and immediately asked me to take my shoes off because they have a strict no shoes policy due to them having a crawling baby. I explained that I have a medical condition called epidermolysis bullosa simplex, EBS, which makes the skin on my feet extremely fragile. Even mild friction or pressure can cause painful blisters and tears, so I have to wear supportive shoes with cushion orthopedic insoles at all times, even indoors. Walking barefoot or just in socks causes me pain and can lead to bleeding. She suggested I put grocery bags or socks over my shoes, but I told her that's unsafe for walking and honestly just insulting. She said she can't compromise her baby's health for my comfort. When Alex came to the door, he told me to just deal with it for a couple of hours or I wasn't welcome inside. I told him I wasn't going to risk injuring myself over a D&D session, and if my shoes were that big of an issue, I'd respectfully leave. As I walked back to my car, I overheard his wife telling the other guests that were already there that the night was off because I made a huge scene at the door. Later, I got a group text from Alex saying he was cancelling D&D night because it's not fair to expect everyone else to pretend nothing happened. Some mutual friends say I overreacted and could have just sucked it up, while others think Alex and his wife were ridiculous for ruining everyone else's plans just because I decided not to stay. So, am I the arsehole? Edit. I should add that I texted our friend group chat a few days ago about my concerns with my condition because we changed the location of the meetup to his house instead of mine. Alex reassured me that I shouldn't worry about it, so I didn't bring my indoor shoes. And just to mention, I'm not sure at what point the edit came in, so you might have to take the comments with a pinch of salt. Exotic says, don't know why you couldn't just cover your shoes with bags. Hello replied saying, this is the answer. Maintenance people do this all the time when they enter homes. It does not affect how well you walk, and it seems like it would have been a good compromise. You're the arsehole for thinking this is insulting. Piano replies saying, maintenance people use shoe coverings but not plastic bags. Plastic bags would be slippery and a fall risk. Paper bags might work though. Remarkable says, OP, these responses are insane. You're not the arsehole. You didn't demand entry into their house. You simply decided not to enter because you couldn't meet their requirements. I've been asked to take my shoes off at someone's house maybe twice in my 50 plus years of life. It's not a typical request where I live. I don't like it. It's not a problem for my ankle, which needs support, and I definitely wouldn't wear plastic bags on my feet because the last thing I need is to fall. But I can do it because my medical issues are much less severe than yours. Ignore these people and realize Alex isn't a friend and maybe his wife is struggling with the stress of motherhood. But it definitely isn't your issue. Loose Chemical says, not the arsehole, but your friend and his wife are. Trying to shame you over a health condition is ridiculous. We're a Japanese household, so we do not wear shoes in the house, but we do provide disposable shoe covers, made for that purpose, for those who don't want to take off their shoes. I'm surprised that she doesn't have them for tradesmen that may need to come inside, because they're not allowed to remove their shoes while they're working, and walking around with plastic bags over your feet is a safety hazard. Reluctant says, you're the arsehole. Disclosure, I'm from a part of Western Canada where it's unthinkable to wear shoes indoors. If you have a condition that requires you to wear shoes, then you need to bring indoor shoes with you. Just a cute pair of lightwear sneaks in your bag and you're set. This is what we did in elementary school. It's the only option in a rainy climate. And again, that might have been before the edit. And Will says, are you serious? You can't put a bag over your dirty shoes. She offered a perfectly fine compromise and you got offended. You're the arsehole. And the post was tagged as you're the arsehole, but there was also a lot of back and forth on this as well. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And now just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly, it's absolutely amazing. And hopefully, I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.